Good morning, or good evening, or good afternoon. Sunday after church. I did go to church today. Welcome to the channel. Great cloudy day. A little tired. Oh, yeah, my friend David that takes me to church had a little spell. They were singing and preaching hadn't even started or nothing, and a lot of people were going up there. There was a talk about addiction and whatever might be. The pastor had a problem at some point. I know he hadn't done drugs and alcohol, but he had something that he had problems with, something that was obsessive, something that was compulsive, that he kept having trouble with, and it's an addiction, like you can be addicted to anything. It's up here. Like the other day, I had a conversation with somebody on a stream. His name's Doc. He's a retired counselor, and he was saying addiction starts up here and ends up here. Anyway, that's not what this is about. I'm going to read from Jesus Calling. By the way, welcome to the channel. Great cloudy day. If I didn't already say that, I don't believe I did. But if I did, I've said it twice. And I'm Gray Cloud, Sage of the Eternal Moment. And it's supposed to get cold tonight. So hopefully I'm going to be all right. Got the heater on in there right now, heating up the room. November 9th. Sit quietly with me, letting all your fears and worries bubble up to the surface of your consciousness. There in the light of my presence, the bubbles pop up and disappear. Or they pop and disappear. However, some fears surface over and over again, especially fear of the future. You tend to project yourself mentally into the next day, week, month, year, decade, and you visualize yourself coping badly in those times. What you're seeing is a false image because it doesn't include me. Those gloomy times that you imagine will not come to pass, since my presence will be with you at all times. When a future-oriented worry assails you, capture it and disarm it by suffusing the light of my presence into the mental image. That mental image. Say to yourself, Christ will be with me then and there. With his help, I can cope. Then come home to the present moment where you can enjoy peace in my presence. And that really was another synchronistic moment for me. Luke 12, 22 through 25, Deuteronomy 31, verse 6, 2 Corinthians 10, verse 5. There's your reference scriptures. Yeah, before I'd even read this morning, I read it right before I got picked up. But I'd been on the phone with a friend and talking about certain situations and things that's going to be coming up that I'm going to have to deal with here soon anyway, in the next few months. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but basically I was saying, talking about that I was having a conversation for the past several days. I've felt that, the communication with Big Kahuna, the spirit, has said, stop. Like even in detox, when the spirit's when Big Kahuna said, take your pen and I want you to write down what I'm telling you right now. And it was a message, of stop, breathe, like be in this day you're in, and like there's a plan working out. I've got things working out. Pace it, slow down, work on you. Right now, what was written down, I'll read it maybe one day. I don't know. I've read it to a few people, but I don't know. It's something that I'm going to put up on the wall so I can just see it and a reminder to myself. It's the first time that's ever happened where I was definitely not just taking the pen and just writing myself. What I speak to and communicate with, that's guided me all my entire life. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. Because it don't. It's like I'm not here to prove anything. I'm just here to try to help people, help myself first, then try to, spread some positivity, some love, and let people be who they are. because that's where it needs to be. Like that's why I read Toltec and try to practice Toltec wisdom as well. So you meet people where they're at and you accept them for what they are. And sometimes you have to be from a distance from them. Sometimes you can be around them. But like, show them some real. You first trying to learn to unconditionally love yourself. Stop punishing yourself for everything, beating yourself up for things, and then you move forward. Anyway, so the point, being is that I've been told to, and ever since I got out of detox, as long as I get up every day, like if I pay attention to what's being shown to me and laid out for me to do, some of it's just normal things that I've been putting off, like normal little tasks that I normally do every day. Before I went into detox, I wasn't doing a whole lot around here. Wasn't walking, I was staying in that room dark, laying there drinking, and that wasn't a good thing. Wasting away. And there's still life to be lived, as long as I'm breathing. So, there's where I'm at. And so when I got up and I was having a conversation on the phone and I was talking about what's going to be coming up, another incident that I could have kept from happening, but it's going to be something I have to deal with. Well, I was told yesterday and the day before, like in my communication, it was like, hey, that's not now. You need to be here, right here, today. Doing the things you can do today. When that point comes, if it gets there, if you're there when it gets there, you know what I mean? Number of things. So, and it's like I've been through this thing before. I've done it several times since I've lived in this trailer, having to go through this process of something. And anyway, it was interesting because my friend was kind of like, I've gained back my, I'm not questioning myself. Like my conviction is not in question anymore. So I'm not worrying about that. It took a little bit, and it's nice to have some people sometimes that don't think always like me or don't necessarily believe the same thing I believe. And they can help me even question myself and question what it is I thought I was so convicted about, to come back around, to this point where I'm sobering up. Things are falling into place. I'm learning more about the computer, learning better about live streaming. Got some plans in the work, but you don't want to overload yourself. It's like I got to stay sober. And if I get too much on me and I take on too much at a time, I could fall off the deep end and never come back. I also got those I got 2 doctor's appointments in December 11th and the 12th. Got all that going on. Friday, it was just, everything's falling right where it needs to be without me trying to force something. And every time I keep thinking that I'm in control and I think that I'm going to, like I'm thinking too hard about it, then I get reeled back in, like that inner voice, that spirit, the big kahuna. What's always guided me, like I said, it pulls me in. It says, hey, ain't you seeing that? I told you, and ever since everything's working out as long as I just pay attention and listen. Like sometimes it's good to listen. That stillness. We get so busy looking at our phones or listening to music all the time or something, always trying to have something. So I've been doing a lot of this in the mornings, trying to take a moment but I've been going pretty fast and hard this past week, getting a lot done, had a lot of energy. So now it's time to step back a second and start laying out the groundwork for more of a schedule and pacing, and it can get done. It doesn't have to all be done in one day. Because all I have is one day, and that's whatever day I'm in. Till next time, Mr. Grey Cloud, Sage of the Eternal Moment. Over and out. Ditto. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the day.